Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. This is going to be my response to Chris Profe, his new thread that he put up maybe like 5 days ago, a week ago, something like that. But it was titled Feed My Vinyl Addiction, or Feed My Addiction, one of the two there. But simply put, he was just kind of playing off of the idea that, you know, here in the VC, there's so many people, so much musical knowledge, and we share so many things that, you know, so many times we're introducing each other to new stuff all the time. So it was just kind of a show 5 albums or so of just things that you would love to, if no one already knew about it, introduce someone to here in the VC. So I wanted to kind of jump on board and do a response to that. If you're not a subscriber to Chris's channel, make sure you go over and check him out. I think when I looked at it a couple of days ago, he had like 980 subs or something like that, which for someone like him, especially as many people that's in the VC, he should have a ton more subscribers than that. Really good channel, really thoughtful guy when he does his videos. Also plays a little guitar, so you know he'll do a few videos here and there of him just kind of playing and covering some stuff. So yeah, make sure you go over there and check him out. See, at the very least, if maybe over the next few days we can get him up to like 1,500 subscribers, because he definitely deserves a hell of a lot more. Really good guy. So yeah, just wanted to kind of jump on board. And also, before I forget too, I want to give a quick thanks to that name always throws me off. Make an electric rebuttal, I think is what it was. Yeah. I just always remember your avatar with the no tread on me sign, which I love to death. But just want to give a quick thank you to you as well. And a couple videos ago, you know, he's been watching my videos for quite some time and always makes comments here and there. But he just left a comment in the video the other day, just kind of talking about, you know, hey, would you might look at stepping up your webcam game a little bit and this and that, just kind of giving me some feedback. And I asked him a couple questions and he, you know, gave me some info. And so yeah, I went and purchased a new webcam, and you know, hopefully this makes things a little bit better. So let me know if this is a better quality. On my side, I've never seen a problem with, I mean, maybe the video is a little more grainy, but with some of the volume things that a couple of people have mentioned, I've never seen it on my side. So hopefully this is better, and if so, just kind of let me know. But again, man, thanks for just kind of, you know, mentioning that. And I didn't necessarily mention it, but the way that you approached it, I thought was very direct and very cool too. So I like people that function in the world the way that you did in those comments. So I appreciate you. But yeah, so let's just kind of jump right into it. As I was picking out my 5, I was actually spinning the record that's playing right now, and by the time I got my 5, I was like, I got to show that one too. So I'm going to give you 6. So the first one that we're starting here is this one, if I can get the glare out of there. I'm not sure the best way to do that might be. But this is the Frankie Miller Band, The Rock. And this is from 1975. Picked this album up when I kind of first started collecting. And I saw this in the store, and the cover just kind of caught me. And I thought, hey, it's only $3 or $4. I got to check that out. And picked it up and absolutely loved it. Oh my gosh. Now from that part, I went and checked out, you know, some of his other albums, and they were decent, but nothing that I ever liked anywhere near as much as this album. So this has really kind of been the only one I've kept in my collection. The other 2 or 3 I had, I actually kind of got rid of. I just didn't spin them that much at all. But yeah, this is really awesome. Easiest way to describe it is take the scratchy rock and roll delivery of Bob Seger, but have him doing more gospel, bluesy R&B songs like Van Morrison would kind of do. Put those two things together, and you kind of have the Frankie Miller Band, or Frankie Miller, I should say. So really great album. My 2 favorite songs off of it are actually the one playing right now, All My Love to You, but my favorite is Bridgeton. without question, that's my favorite album or favorite song by him. And actually, while it's spinning, I might as well just kind of give you a little bit of a needle drop. This, of course, is All My Love to You. But actually, let me, since they're both on the same side, this is Bridgeton. Stuff. Really, really good stuff there. And actually, let me start it back over so it doesn't run out during the video. So yeah, fantastic album. Highly recommend that if you don't know about it and haven't quite heard it before. The thing that's always frustrated me about it, this is my third copy, I believe, that I've had of this. Not an expensive album at all. You know, typically it's going to be something you find between $6 to maybe 13 bucks, maybe 12 bucks, something like that. So not very expensive, but trying to find an absolute mint copy has drove me crazy. You know, like even this one here, which is close if it wasn't for the, you know, the cut corner there, which ticks me off. I can't stand cut corners. But but yeah, that's been the only frustrating thing about the album for me. Everything else has been fantastic. But really, really good stuff. So moving right along, I had to show one by my absolute favorite band, which is the one and only Godsmack. And this is When Legends Rise. This is their 2018 release, which is their newest album. And again, those that know me know that Godsmack is my absolute favorite band. Love them to death. Still can't figure out how that happened, but it's and I always kind of jokingly say that because, you know, even I'll be the first to admit, you know, like Sully was hesitant to come out and be a lead singer anyway because he felt like he wasn't a lead singer. He was a drummer. You know, and he's not like the greatest singer in the world. He'll say that. You know, he has said that. Guitar players, you know, Rob and the other guys, just kind of like, well, they're not doing like crazy licks or any technical stuff that makes you think like, whoa, those guys are just like they're all over the place. Not at all. Larkin on the drums is a beast. I love him to death. But it's just when the four of them come together and do what Godsmack does, which to me is they create huge rhythmic walls of sound that are just pounding, and I love what they do. They've always been my favorite band, or at least for quite some time they've been my favorite band, at least the last 10 years. But this particular album was a little bit different than what they had done in the past, and Sully even said that before the album came out. He was like, this is not going to be a typical type of Godsmack album where the big rhythmic sounds aren't as present, and there's a little more just kind of open chord melody. I guess maybe kind of easy way to describe it. But yeah, when I first got the album, I thought, yeah, it's a decent album. It is a little different than regular Godsmack, but after listening to it a few times, and I saw them 4 times on that tour, you know, in 2019, and I've seen them like 15 or 16 times total. I cannot get enough of them. And somewhere along the line, that album really clicked, and I started to understand what they were doing there. And songs like When Legends Rise, Unforgettable, what else would be a good one off of there? Bulletproof, another great song. I cannot stop listening to those 3 tracks. I love them to death. So would love to actually get a new Godsmack fan for anyone who hasn't actually heard of them before. Moving right along, let's jump to a little 80s R&B here. We're going to go with Morris Day, Color of Success. This is from 1985. Yeah, most people tend to know about the time. You know, Morris Day, Jungle Love, The Bird, obviously Purple Rain. He had a huge part in that movie. But it seems like a lot of people don't tend to know about either the two albums that the time had before Ice Cream Castles, which is kind of when they peaked with all that stuff I just mentioned, or even the fact that he had a solid little solo career after the time. And I think Color of Success, was his first solo release after he left the time. But yeah, it's just Morris kind of doing his cool thing, you know. The two singles off of this, I believe, were Color of Success and The Oak Tree. And those would be the two songs I'd recommend checking out if you wanted to see what Morris did after he left the time. So another great album there as well, especially for any 80s R&B fans. Next here, we're going to go with X-Clan. I want to kind of pull out a little bit on the hip-hop side. This is from 1990. And this is To the East Blackwards is the name of the album. And no, I didn't mispronounce that. It's To the East Blackwards. This was a very cool album that came out in 1990 that I've always said that was a very interesting year and kind of a pivotal year for hip hop. Actually, I would say 89 through 91 was kind of that time frame, because that was kind of at the point to where hip hop was starting to branch into its different directions. Up to that point in time, it was your Fat Boys, LL Cool J, Run DMC, Curtis Blow, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, like all those, you know, just artists, you're rapping, period, UTFO, that type of thing. But then 89 going into the early 90s up through 91 is when you started to see hip hop going in these different directions. You know, where you had, here's more of the gangster rap thing, you know, here's more of the playful, silly thing, you know, maybe like the Sir Mix-a-Lot kind of thing, or, you know, all that kind of Audio 2, I guess they were a little bit earlier, but still. And then you also had kind of that Back to Africa, you know, knowledge type of approach too. You had the militant type of approach, and like Public Enemy, and sometimes combinations of all those. So hip hop was just really starting to come into it, having individual identities within it. What I'm trying to say. So what X-Clan did, which was kind of made this album, I think, somewhat popular at the time. Most of the stuff like your Jungle Brothers and, you know, Poor Righteous Teachers and all of that, they were almost going a little more jazzy as they started to do more of the knowledge thing, right? But X-Clan kind of pulled the two worlds together, where they said, we're going to go back and pull some of the beats that are so popular with some of the other styles of hip-hop and bring them into the knowledge side of hip-hop. Okay, so that's a kind of a long explanation to say, when you have songs like Microphone Fiend that was really big for Eric B. and Rakim, they sampled that note for note into this album. I think it was on the song Grand Verbalizer, What Time Is It? When you had songs like More Bounce to the Ounce from Roger and Zapp, which was sampled by South Central Cartel. It was sampled by, I mean, gosh, EPMD, Heavy D. Like, everybody had been sampling that song because it's just one of the tightest cuts ever made. Well, they brought that same beat in on Heed the Word of the Brother. So they kind of picked up on what people were really digging at the time and used it to do a more knowledge-based type of album. I didn't expect all that to come out. I just started rolling. But if you haven't heard this album before, great songs to check out. Grand Verbalizer, What Time Is It? Funky Lessons is a great song, but Heed the Word of the Brother, In the Ways of the Scales. Check out those tracks and you'll find out why this is such a slamming album. All right, the last two here. Wanted to also bring a little jazz in here, so I went with Wynton Marsalis. Self-titled from 1982, I believe 82, yeah, 1982. Nice half-speed master there as well, which is kind of cool. I love those pressings. But yeah, Wynton is kind of a name, definitely in the jazz world. Like for, I don't know, I won't get into that. But yeah, definitely a big name in the jazz world. Maybe doesn't get quite the respect that people just tend to throw towards Miles Davis and, you know, all of those legends. But he's definitely a legend in his own right. And the guy is so talented too, and this is one of those albums that really displays that, because I think one of the things that's made him, maybe his name not as big, is that it's hard to pin him down into just doing one thing, because he is so gifted and so talented. So on this album, you listen to side one and you'll hear some elements where you're like, he's almost trying to go smooth jazz, but doesn't ever really get there. Or maybe he's trying to go a little bit big band jazz, but he doesn't really quite get there. You know, and then you flip it over and there's a couple of tracks on side two where you're like, is that Miles Davis playing? Because it sounds just like Miles, and it's just, again, just kind of shows his skill set. So if you are a huge jazz fan and for some reason have not heard this album before, definitely one I would love to introduce you to, because it's a great album. And last but not least, decided to go with a little Neil Young here, and this is Lanois from 2010. And I wanted to pull, I thought I would pull this one out just because, you know, Neil has had a career that's just freaking amazing. When you look at all of the studio albums that he's had, I mean, he has a ton of them out there. I mean, you have to keep in mind, when you go back and watch stuff like the music video for What's It Worth by Buffalo Springfield, like that seems way back in the 60s and Flower Power and, you know, way back. And it's like Neil Young is standing right there playing guitar. And, you know, you go back to Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and it's like, that's Neil Young. And then you fast forward all the way into the late 2000s here, and the dude is still making music. I mean, he just will not go away. It's insane. And kind of in light of that, I think some of his stuff in the 2000s has gotten kind of lost, because everyone always automatically goes back to Harvest Moon and There Comes a Time, and, you know, just like all of his early stuff. I think some of his later stuff has really gotten lost. Psychedelic Pill is another fantastic album. I don't have that on vinyl, but I would love to get it. Matter of fact, if anyone has one to trade, I would love to talk about doing a trade on that. But Lanois is another one that just kind of gets lost, 2010. And if I remember correctly, on this album, it's just him and his guitar, electric guitar though, not acoustic. And I think what they said he did was something like, he had 2 different amplifiers or something like that, like one plugged up to each one of the pickups inside of his guitar. So when he's playing it, it almost sounds like you hear 2 guitars playing, but I think it's actually just him. And it's really just kind of heavy, distorted, fuzzy, which usually you think about one person and the guitar and no other band, you just think acoustic, but this is just the opposite. And just the sound is just so big and heavy. I've described it as if you were to take a bucket of water, like a warm water, and have someone in like semi-slow motion pour it over your head. Like if you could put that into music, you would get Lanois. And I think when you listen to it, you'll understand what I mean by that. But yeah, the 2 songs to check, or a couple of songs to check out on her, I should say, is Walk With Me is probably my favorite. Sign of Love is another good one. Love and War, Angry. That's a lot of good tracks on here. And I think you'll find if you like 2 or 3 of the tracks, you're pretty much going to love the whole album. If you hate 2 or 3 of the tracks, you're probably going to hate most of the album, because it really is kind of one consistent thing that's being done all the way through. So definitely check out Neil Young's Lanois. Really cool album. There was something else I was going to say about that, now I can't remember what it was. It's right on the tip of my tongue and now I lost it. Okay. But yeah, so really cool stuff there. But again, thanks for watching, guys. Chris, glad I got a chance to jump on your thread here. Let me know what you guys think, if you are familiar with the albums at all, you know, and if so, kind of what you think about them. But at the very least, I did hope at least one person maybe got introduced to something they hadn't heard before. All right, take care, VC. We'll talk to you soon.